Hey, and welcome to another episode. In today's book review, we're going to be talking about Antifragile, Things That Gain from Disorder by Nicholas Nassim Taleb. Life has never been neat and tidy. It's messy, unpredictable, and often unfair. But here's the truth. If you lean into the mess instead of running from it, you actually get stronger. That's what being anti-fragile is all about. And it's a lesson leaders, and frankly all of us, need now more than ever. This is Tim Staten with Tim Stating the Obvious. What is this podcast about? It's simple. You are entitled to great leadership everywhere you go, whether it's to church, whether it's to work, whether it's at your house, you are entitled to great leadership. And so in this podcast, we take leadership principles and theories and turn them into everyday, relatable, and usable advice.
And a quick disclaimer, this show, process, or service by trademark manufacturer, otherwise does not necessarily constitute an implied endorsement of anyone that I employed by or favors them in representation. The views are expressed here in my show are my own expressed and do not necessarily state or reflect those of any employer.
Taleb's big idea is simple. Fragile things break under pressure. Robust things hold steady, but anti-fragile things actually grow from stress. Think about your muscles. I like to work out and going to the gym. It keeps me healthy. Without the stress of resistance, your muscles will weaken. With pressure and recovery, you get stronger. Leadership is no different. The problems we face today is that too many people, especially in the leadership pipelines, are conditioned to avoid stress, avoid risk, and avoid discomfort. Even staffs can't even handle discomfort or stress. We've created a culture of fragility where one harsh word, one failure, or even one unmet expectation feels like a collapse. Taleb reminds us that it's disorder, setbacks, and friction that create resilience and a long-term strength. And anti-fragile really isn't resilience. It's more than that. So I think of Gumby, right? It's bendable, it's flexible, it's pliable, it's moldable. It doesn't break under pressure. You don't have to handle it delicately. And the workplace is full of fragile people, and the workplace leadership is full of fragile leaders, where if you question anything or you push back a little bit, they break. They can't handle the pressure. So Taleb frames it like this. Fragile is a glass. One drop and it shatters. Most like some of the people. Robust is like a rock. It takes a hit, but it doesn't grow, right? So being fragile, you shatter. If you're robust, you can take a hit, but it doesn't grow from that. Anti-fragile is like a forest after a fire. It comes back stronger. I think of the times where I was, grew up in the South and, in North Carolina and Georgia, you do these things called control burn in the forest where you burn off the underbrush. And yes, there's a fire, but life comes back stronger. Now think about today's workplace. We've got leaders who crack under criticism, fragile. Leaders who can take a hit but never adapt, they're robust. And leaders who use setbacks to grow themselves and their teams, creating anti-fragile teams and anti-fragile people. Who do you want to follow? I offer up, we need more anti-fragile teams and anti-fragile leaders. We need people who can grow from stress, who can grow from setbacks. And in his book, he brings up a great point, which I love, where he talks about where if you ingest a little bit of poison, not enough to kill you, but enough to introduce to your body, so your body goes, oh, this is bad for me. I know how to fight this off and attack it. In small doses, you can build up an immunity. That's like kind of how vaccines are made. And I don't want to get into, the whole vaccine thing, but it's been proven that a little bit of vaccine will make you more robust, will make you even stronger. If you get introduced to a certain bacteria or a certain virus, your body knows how to attack it and handle it. You become stronger. You're not as fragile as you were, but you're more than robust. You can thrive and survive when introduced. But Taleb also warns us systems that overprotect and eliminate risk, like being a helicopter parent or corporate environments that shield people from accountability, that kind of coddling doesn't create resilience. It breeds fragility. And that's what we're seeing, in my opinion. Teams, employees, and even entire organizations that can't handle the unexpected because they're never been tested. And we saw this through the pandemic, where something bad happened. People thought it was a worst case scenario. And in the book, he talks about this, where People anticipate the worst case scenario, but the worst case scenario was actually worse than the worst case scenario that we could actually predict, because we like to think that the tallest mountain that we can see and we know of is the tallest mountain that ever was, until we find the tallest mountain that ever was, and it's bigger than the one that we ever saw, much like things of unpredictability and things that we come into contact with. So with that in mind, we need to be people who can be anti-fragile, where you have that stress, but you can still grow from it. We don't need to overparent our kids. Let them fail. It's okay to get a B or a C or even a D. And guess what? If your kid forgets to bring their lunch, well, maybe they should go hungry for a little bit. Your school won't let them go hungry because they'll give them food anyway, but they'll feel the stressor of it, right? Maybe we should let people do a task and not complete it on time where it doesn't affect the whole organization, but it's just a minor setback, and they learn from that and they can grow through the stressors of that we're not shielding people from accountability, that they're growing in it. There's this meme out there that says, I don't know why the 70s and 80s kids look so good when they get older. Maybe there was something in the water. Yeah, maybe there was something from drinking from the garden hose outside that made us more resilient than drinking sterilized bottled water. I'm just saying, I don't think there could be a correlation to that. I know that I've had, tons of vaccines being in the military. Guess what? I'm alive and I'm kicking today, and I'm pretty strong, and my immunity is pretty good. But we need to do that with everything. We need to introduce a little bit of hostility, not all the time and not in a negative way, but we need to make it so that people stress and grow. So the strengths of Antifragile is that it forces us to rethink how we view stress and disorder. As leaders, we can't just protect our teams from every challenge. We need to expose them to manageable stress so that they can grow. But we don't need to overdo it, because in any organism, if you overdo it, it dies off, right? How many civilizations don't exist today because they died off? Well, that's because they became overstressed and they couldn't do what they needed to do in order to survive. So my critique of this book is that sometimes he wanders and he gets a little bit wordy, but I think everything is still applicable. It's a great read, and I really like how he doesn't just hand us neat lessons and bullet points so you can just walk away from it. You have to really think about this book, and it took me a while to write this book review because it is books within a book, as he said, and it's kind of all over the place, but it's still really getting into the definitions of what he's really talking about. It's more than just resiliency. It's more than just robustness. It's thriving, being anti-fragile, not fragile. So who is this book for? I would say if you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or anyone who is tired of living in a bubble-wrapped world like me, if you're looking to toughen up, to stop being fragile, you're looking to help people grow stronger instead of weaker with every setback, this is a required reading for you. I'm just saying, it opened up my eyes to a lot of things, and I think it's a good read. There's a lot of applicable things to leaders and organizations, to anywhere, whether it's at your home, your church, or at work. This book is applicable. And the obvious takeaway is fragility is everywhere today, but fragility doesn't build leaders. If you want to lead effectively, you've got to create anti-fragile systems for yourself and for your people. That means embracing challenge, using failure as a feedback mechanism instead of a setback, and teaching your teams that discomfort is a teacher, not an enemy. In fact, comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills you no matter what, whether it kills your work, your business, your home, or even yourself because you're not as aware. Comfort is the enemy. And if we don't, we'll keep raising leaders who fold under pressure instead of rising through it and going through it. And so I think that if you have a reading list, this book should definitely be on it, because it's going to help us create a generation of leaders that are anti-fragile instead of fragile. So stop running from chaos and start growing through it. So my challenge to you today is, let's develop anti-fragility. So one thing that you can do is expose yourself to a small controlled challenge that pushes you out of your comfort zone, like trying a new skill or having a tough conversation, and then letting us know how that went for you. How was the discomfort? How did you handle it? Did you grow through it? What happened? Was it the outcome as scary as you thought it was? I doubt it would be. This builds robustness and resilience and thriveness by teaching us to adapt and grow from stress, much like Taleb's idea of the system gaining from disorder. As always, thank you for stopping by and checking out this episode and listening to it. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Before we go, I'd like to ask a favor of you if I could. If you could please share this episode with one or two people who you think might like this topic. If you haven't followed or subscribed on the platform that you're listening to, and hit all the bells and icons and all the whistles so that you know that when we post another episode, you'll be alerted, please go ahead and do all that before you go. If you got some value out of this episode, please leave a review or a comment so we can help spread the show to other people who might be interested in the topics that we've talked about here today, but may not have found our show yet. Again, thanks for stopping by. I'm Tim Staten.